T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Are you a woman in need of wisdom? Do you sometimes battle with separating who you are now versus who you feel like you ought to be? Do you question God's plan for your life? Is there a sense of uncertainty in the areas of choosing healthy relationships? Hi, I'm Nadira, your life and impact coach. In becoming a woman of Proverbs, it is my desire to help you grow into the woman that God has designed you to be. We offer short videos with moments of wisdom for any circumstance using the Word of God. No matter what it is, we are here for you. Make sure you download the app today.
Hello, guys. Welcome to Sisterhood Check-in. I am like super excited. I don't know about y'all, but every time I hear like the start of the preview, I get excited. I be in the background like, you know, you got to put it's not the same until you put the lip movement in. But thank you guys for watching Sisterhood Check-in. I am your host, Nadira Lewis. And if you have been blessed by watching the Sisterhood Check-in, make sure you guys leave a comment at the bottom and let me know your feedback. Let me know how Sisterhood Check-in has been blessing you. I'm excited, guys, because today we have none other, my special guest. Hold on. Her name is Georgia Lawrence. She is an attorney, wife, mother. She has been a blessing to so many people in the state of Georgia, Florida, from her hometown. I'm excited. I can't wait to bring her in, y'all. Let's give a round of applause for Georgia Lawrence. Hey, girl. How are you? How you doing? You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna get the charger to my laptop before our live go dead. Hold on.
Okay.
I tell you, one of these days I'm gonna get it all together. Okay, I'm back. Hold on. I can't believe after all this preparation, the one thing that I need to remember to get was the one thing that I forgot. That was the most important thing.
Charger. It happened.
I know, right? Oh, okay. I tell you, you don't have to be perfect to do this, but you do have to get better. Okay, let me put my mic back on. Miss Georgia Lawrence.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit.
Are you? Just waiting for Georgia to come back. We had a little connection issue. All right, we're back. Okay. So how are you, girlfriend?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good, girl. I'm excited. I am like really like super psyched to hear you talk to us about all the wonderful things that you're doing. I'm excited. You know, I talk about all the things that I'm doing, but girl, I am just loving all the things that God has been doing for you, girl. You are a mom of a new baby, girl. You done wrote how many books? 3, 4?
3.
Jesus, girl, I got to catch up to you. You got 3 books. So, Georgia, tell us a little bit about yourself. Help my audience to know Georgia Lawrence the way I know you.
Okay, so first, thank you for having me. And you're doing a great job. I salute you. This is
Thank
needed.
you.
Friday
Thank
night,
you.
5 o'clock, chat with the ladies. This is needed.
Yes, I agree.
So, um, name is Georgia Lawrence. I'm from Jamaica, small community called Kendall in the central area, Mandeville. I know most people who are familiar with Jamaica, they may go to like the tourist areas, so you may hear them talk about Montego Bay, Negril. Well, I'm from the central region, and we call it the cool, cool Manchester. It's the chill town. So I came to the United States over 10 years ago, moved to Florida, actually went to the University of South Florida there, and I did a bachelor's degree in criminology and international studies. I stayed there for a while. I worked with the Department of Juvenile Justice, where I worked with different youth, mostly females, transitioned to Jacksonville, Florida. Attended law school there for 3 years. Got my Juris Doctorate. Then I moved to Georgia, where I'm currently in Atlanta. I took the Georgia bar, passed, currently an attorney. I do a lot of things. So I'm an attorney. I'm an author. I'm also a speaker. So I speak at different conferences, women conferences, conferences with youth. I volunteer in the community. There's this program that I attend called Michael 25. That's something that I'm involved in. I try to help out with the immigration population. I participate with this organization here called GAIN, where we help people from different countries trying to seek political asylum. So I do many things, and when I'm not doing that, you may find me hiking, working out, or just spending time with my family. So all in all, I'm just a regular woman here on earth trying to live, walk within my purpose.
Awesome. So, Georgia, tell everybody how old you are.
How old are
Because you've done so much in such a, I mean, some of us, it has taken us 30, 40 years to accomplish some of the things that you've done. Tell us how young you are and how glowingly
Oh,
glistening.
young I am. I like that. But you know what's funny? I had to think about it just
Oh
now.
boy.
I
Oh
think
boy.
after you pass 25 and you're between 25 and 30, you kind of, I'm 28. I'm 28.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
did, let me see. I finished law school at 26. So I became an attorney at 26.
You became an attorney at 26 years old. Wow. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what inspired you to be an attorney? Like did you just like always have that dream? Were you like, okay, when I grow up I want to be an attorney, or did you just one day, I know you're into helping with immigration. Was it something that fired you up that just made you just want to say, you know what? I'm going to go and fight and use.
When I was younger, I feel like this is it for most little girls. Like you're in school, I wanted to be a teacher. And I
Okay.
think it was in 6th grade that I got introduced, like, you have career days at school,
Mhm.
and I got introduced to an attorney. So I was like, what do you do? And they would tell me, so I understood the concept, but I didn't know, oh, that's to being an attorney. So I
Mm.
always knew that I wanted to help people. And it's something that I've been doing even at a young age. I used to go to church with my grandma, and we used to participate in a lot of community events like outreach, food pantries, and so forth. But there's one thing that I always notice with myself, and it's like I'm always trying to stand up for other people.
Mm.
And in high school, I believe it was in the 9th grade. That was
Mhm.
a time where in Jamaica we do what is called a Caribbean examination or
Okay.
CX. So at that time we were trying to decide what subjects we're going to focus on, and you normally do that related to whatever career that you want to get involved in. So I reached out to an attorney, and he actually came to the school and he told us about his profession, what he did, and I was impressed. So then my mind was set, like I knew I wanted to be an attorney. But what really did it for me was in 7th grade, my uncle got in trouble and he was in jail. And my family basically turned their back on him. And my mom was abroad at the time. And I remember what she did was she actually sent the money to me. And I wasn't, they weren't supposed to allow me to do it. But for some reason, the system I was dealing with, and so forth, they allowed me to pay to bond him out. And I went into that,
Wow.
went into the jailhouse, and I could see what was going on behind there. And it was disgusting. It was dirty. You could see them crying out. And what I saw at the time was just basically a system of injustice where because someone is accused of doing something, basically you treat them like animals. And on his court date, I remember I followed him to court and I was just standing at the outside the courthouse and I was just observing. And you could see the difference with like the attorney walking up, the people who were accused of these criminal offenses. You see the judges, police officers, family members, and it was just the differences. It's almost like a class system. And then that was a moment for me when I was like, I have to be involved in this. Like people out here really, really need help. So when I attended college, I participated in the pre-law program. So I knew head on I was going to go to law school afterwards. Like, of course, there were many obstacles in the way, but I knew I wanted to do it, so I kept going. In Jacksonville, when I attended law school, I got involved in the community again, and I was doing other things. I kind of understand the immigration process a little bit because I'm from Jamaica, but I started in the immigrant and human rights clinic, and I got a lot of experience dealing with like different people from all over. So that really triggered my interest in immigration and human rights law.
Nice. So I bet when all that stuff was happening with what we saw on the news, I bet that kind of like stirred some stuff up in you seeing. I mean, I know it was like devastating with the matter. So I know as an attorney that probably, I mean, not just as an attorney, but anybody that's a human being, you know, looking at that and looking at the events that surrounded that was pretty heartbreaking. So I know that was pretty like hard as an attorney and being from a different country. That might have been devastating, I can imagine.
Yes.
Being able to do you so you graduated, so you went through the program with the attorney that actually came to your school and you followed through and you actually became an attorney. Did you become an attorney in Jamaica? Did you become an attorney in Jacksonville?
Here in Jacksonville, Florida. Well, I
Awesome.
attended law school in Jacksonville, Florida. I did the bar in Georgia. So I'm licensed to practice in the state of Georgia. But because I do immigration law and that's federal, I can really represent people in all 50 states.
Got you. So if somebody needed your assistance and needed to and wanted more information about what you do as far as immigration and how you can help them, let everybody know how they can reach out to you in order to be able to, if they need assistance with anything. Are there certain types of immigration things that you take care of, or you just kind of just help with everything?
Well, I focus mostly on family immigration, but I also do a little bit of employment. I do have a business website. It's www.georgialawrence.com. And there's an option there for them to reach out to me. I also have the email that I give up publicly, georgialaw21@gmail.com. And of course, my social media, Facebook, Georgia Lawrence, Instagram, Georgia Lawrence, or you could use royalty underscore with a purpose. And I'm always available. I'm here to serve however I can.
Thank you. We have somebody that actually has already mentioned the comment. Hi, Kim. She said hello. And we also have another person that actually said congrats, clapped out. We don't know who that is, but thank you for your comments. So Georgia, as you so for anybody that needs assistance with any type of immigration, You can reach out to Georgia at the website at georgialawrence.com, or you can reach her on social media, as she just mentioned. I'm really excited about some of the things that you're doing, Georgia, because it takes a lot of courage to be able to do the things that you do, especially in this time frame. So I really applaud you really kind of just stepping out there and just not just being a regular attorney, just going to a job, clocking in. You're really out here fighting and making sure that you're fighting for people, you're operating in your purpose. What caused you? Because I feel like everybody gets to a point. There's something that happens in their life that draws them to a point to where they say, you know what, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. What was that point for you? Help us to understand Georgia in light of what?
Around age 18. Well, I mentioned that I'm from Jamaica, so you could say like I grew up poor, and when I say that, I mean like I had my basic needs met, and I had some of the most valuable things, like family surrounding me with love, attention, and time. And I have like the greatest mom, where she would always ensure that we were able to make ends meet. But when I say that, I mean like the luxury of having certain things like a car in the household where you didn't have to take a taxi, being able to get certain things that you want to eat at certain times, or wear certain things that you want. I didn't have that. Having to worry about how I was going to go to college and so forth. But there was always something in me where I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and this is what I was going to do. So I believe it was at age 18 when I finished high school, and then I did 2 years of sixth form. And that's like, I was pre-college here, and I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to do law. So you may have heard of the University of West Indies in Jamaica. That was always a dream school of mine. And when I got through for the program, it was over $1 million. So probably like over 12,000, probably over 12,000 US. I knew I couldn't afford that. Never seen that much money before. So it was a matter of me taking loans and stuff. So what I did is I started applying for different schools. And I remember I applied for 10 different colleges. And I did get through. So I was trying to decide between like Valdosta College and the University of South Florida. But something kept tugging on me, and I did decide to go to University of South Florida. But when I was leaving, people started to say things. And when I say people, I'm talking about those close to me, like family members. They thought that I was crazy. They thought I was crazy. And I had it in me where I was like, I'm not going to sit in this situation. And because certain things weren't provided for me, doesn't mean it's not out there. And I'm going to go get it. So I always tell people that I left Jamaica with 2 suitcases and $200 to come to university. I didn't know how I was going to pay my tuition, how I was going to pay housing, how I was going to eat or anything. But I just had it in me that I was after what I wanted. So when I got here, it was rough. The roughest period of my life, but I must say the most humbling experience. And just being able to go through that and overcome so much, where sometimes I think about it is like the apartment that I was in, I got threatened with being kicked out because I wasn't paying like the rent on time. I used to shop at the dollar store, and I'm saying that proudly, like yes. And
still shop at the dollar store.
There was a Checkers
dollar store that came up. I don't know what you call dollar store that came up. Your dollar store is a new mall.
There was a Checkers that was topside my apartment. And I remember my roommates and I, because I had 3 roommates from Jamaica as well. We'd get dressed on Sunday. We didn't have a car. So we'd walk to the Checkers. We'd get our little dollar fry lover burger and our milkshake. We'd be all excited, go back to the apartment. So yeah, it was really experience, but it's just like having gone through all that and where I'm at now, not saying that I've arrived because there's always work to be done, but just
Absolutely.
being able to overcome that. That's what I would say. Like that has always been like my driving force, like overcoming. And then I have my grandma, who's my biggest inspiration. That's something she's instilled in me since I was a little girl. Like she's always telling me different stories about like getting over stuff, how she was able to do certain things and so forth. So I would see a combination of my grandma's teaching and just that drive that's within me. That's what's always like pushing me.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you wrote a book, Purpose to Pain. Talk to us about some of the experiences that shaped you to be able to be in a position to say, you know what, not only am I going to help immigrants, but let me help some people who are going through some things, and let me give them a way, another perspective, as I will call it, to be able to look at life and be able to pursue and be able to get out. Talk to me about how Purpose to Pain came about.
All right, so this is my first book, Purpose to Pain. And I wrote this book. This one took me a while because I started writing this when I was in undergrad. It actually started out as a journal. And what I was doing was just basically like taking about how I was feeling, certain things that I've been through. In the beginning of the book, like it has a lot of poems, and that's what I would sit and write just to help me get over certain things. But what I realized through writing this book really for myself is that I could use it to help somebody else. Because I always tell people, like, what you go through and your testimony, it isn't for you. It's to someone else. So I kept writing and writing. I finished it in 2018. I graduated law school May 11, 2018, and my book was released that day too. And
wow, you were able to get all that done?
Yes.
Gosh, wow.
So it really started with some things that I went through when I was younger and all the way through law school and some of the things that I was able to just overcame. I talk about being young, growing up in a single parent family, how that has affected me. Growing up, like having an absentee father in the home, how that has affected me, impact that it has had, like certain decisions that I've made and little things like that. I also talk about different culture, like with coming here in the United States versus being back home, the differences I've seen, like with certain gap. And really, when people read my books, they tell me that I'm very transparent, and I say, yes, I have nothing to hide. I'm an open. So if you don't want to know, don't ask or don't try to get too involved in my life because I'm gonna tell you.
I'm trying to tell you.
And then
wow, I'm the same way. That's awesome.
Yeah. And in the book too, I kind of open up about a lot of things that I didn't share within my family, and I feel as if that's because like this is especially in the Black community now, where it's almost like we're sheltered in a sense, where we're told not to say certain things or speak upon certain things, but deep down, it's killing us inside. So I was able to get a lot of it out in this book. One of the things that I talk about was an experience. Like I said, I grew up in a single family household. And my mom, she's actually a cosmetologist, so she'll do hair, and she also taught hairdressing. So one of the things that happened was she had to leave us with a babysitter, or she didn't have the money to take us to no fancy babysitter who could account for liability or anything like that. So we just go to some regular home babysitter. And I was there at one point, and I remember, well, they didn't have money either, so they had like an outdoor bathroom. So I remember like the baby first time he was outdoor using the restroom, and me being a little girl walking up my point, and I can remember him calling me inside that bathroom. And like years later, I thought about everything. That boy, well, at the time I was probably like 5. This was a grown man. He was probably like 18, 19, and he could have raped me. But see, for years I had that in my mind, and it was in my subconscious, and I was thinking about things. I was trying to figure it out, but at the same time, I wouldn't say anything to the grown folks around me. So things like that, I was able to get out in the book. Like I said, not growing up with a father and having gone through certain things, I was exposed where I got in relationships I had no business getting involved in. At one point, I was actually dating someone who was abusive to the point where we got physical with each other. And when it happened, instead of me like telling somebody what happened, or like I was living with like uncles and cousins, and instead of me going home and telling them the danger that I was in, I kept it all in here, and it came out in this book. I didn't talk about it until the book. And so when I had people like my mom ready, she kind of felt bad in a sense because certain things came to light, and I said, it's not really that I didn't want to disclose it to you. I didn't know how to. And I just think for me sharing different chunks of what happened in my life, it was just a way for me to get over certain things, and also to give to others who may be on a similar path, have gone through similar things. They're afraid to share their story, or they just feel like it's just them being in this bubble by themselves.
Wow. That takes an incredible amount of courage to do that, because, when we were younger, it was a lot of things we just didn't talk about,
Yeah.
A lot of things we experienced. It wasn't just, my mom used to always have a sign up. It says, what you see here, what you say here,
let it stay here. Or don't come back here. I had that in my house too.
Oh yeah, I remember that so vividly. So, but I do understand, like, during that time, a lot of us have gone through different things, and just, it just wasn't something that was easy to talk about. It almost felt like it became a part of the norm, because it wasn't talked about. You didn't have like a lot of the stuff like you have now, where people are discussing openly and saying, hey, this happened to me. I was raped. I was abused. I was taken advantage of. It just wasn't I think we're in a better situation now where we can, especially with social media, and, there's a lot of different programs now that are out. And so it makes it a lot easier to talk about it in this day and time than it was back then. Back then, it was like you told somebody that molested you or something like that. It's like you looked at it as, well, what did you do to deserve it? Or what did you do? Or you was grown, or you was probably too hot to try. They never looked at it as, So I definitely understand, exactly how that happened. I had a situation, happen to me, and it's funny because, when you think about it now, back then you think, I was young, when different things happen to you when you're young, you don't really have the mindset to handle it. You just kind of just be like, oh, well, it is what it is. And it is not until you get older and you start, different things start triggering, and then it's almost like your subconscious mind goes to sleep, and you don't even realize.
And it takes
Yeah, and then you go back and you look and you're like, oh wow, that did happen. That wow, and then it's almost like you go from not knowing to, oh man, that happened to me. You go through the shame, because now you're an adult, and you look back and you're like, wow, that happened to me. You start to feel dirty, and it affects how you deal with current relationships if you don't take the time to get healing, which is why And we'll talk about something that I've done to kind of help within that area when it comes to, emotional trauma and stuff like that. But I think it's a beautiful thing that you have taken the time to kind of just write. Poems are really a good way. They're therapeutic. I
Yeah.
think journaling is helped me out too. I remember when I was younger, and my aunt bought me my very first diary, and I had that diary for years, and I had so many secrets and things that I had went through, different hurts and pains and stuff in that diary. And it was therapeutic to get it out. It was like therapy for me. So that's why, I was telling, everybody on last week when I did Sisterhood Check-in, I thought about what that did for me, which is why I started to do like a devotional planner journal, because I thought, what if I had that back then, not only just a diary so that I can journal, my different thoughts, but what if I had an opportunity to have the word of God there to kind of, as I'm journaling, to be able to reflect and say, I think what helped me too is when I was like early in following and walking with the Lord, I had this Bible. It was a woman's Bible, and I still have that Bible to this day. And reading the word, but then reading the encouraging things that the women put in there it makes a huge difference. So I think your book, the purpose to pain, is awesome, because journaling, it may just look like you're just writing your thoughts, but you never know in journaling your thoughts how it's helping somebody else.
Yeah. So true.
And how it's bringing therapy not only to you, but it's bringing therapy to somebody else. And you and I talked about this before the broadcast. What, like, when you first wrote your first book, how long did it take you to write it?
Well, the first book actually took me a while because I started in undergrad, so 2011, 2004, and I didn't finish it until 2018. But that's me, like, not on, like I said, I started it as a journal, and then eventually I'm like, you know what, I'm going to publish this, so I would write. But I really didn't understand like the publishing process and all that kind of stuff. So I was just taking my little time writing a book. I didn't know it was going to be published.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. So you also have written many different other types of books too, and and as I said before, you can go to bit.ly/Georgia Lawrence Books. We're going to be listing all of her wisdom books on our site. We're still uploading some of the books, as we should have them uploaded hopefully by tonight. But we do have the Purpose Through Pain book on the website now for those of you that are interested in purchasing Georgia's books. It's amazing. And I know it's going to bless you. I know her testimony is going to help somebody else. After going through everything that you've gone through in life, what advice would you say to your younger self, seeing yourself now, being an author, being able to overcome so many things, and now you're an attorney at a very young age? What would you say to encourage your younger self in those moments where you were discouraged and felt like you wanted to give up? What would you say to yourself?
It's going to be okay. That's all I would say to myself, because when I was younger, not that I used to worry a lot, I've just always been so purpose driven. Like a lot of people used to tell me, like, you're young, but you're old. So I was always where I wanted this to be in order, that to be in order. I would focus on like where this is coming from, where that's coming from. I don't know where I got it from. I know that at age 13, my mom went abroad. So I was kind of the little one in the house for a little bit. So I'd have the money for the grocery, the money for the light bill, the money for the water bill. So I learned how to manage money. It's like I was in control of certain things. So I guess I wanted to control my life too. So when things didn't go the way I wanted it to go, like I was worried, I think about certain things. But now, like looking back, I realize as long as you're doing what it is that God called you to do, He's gonna fund that purpose. Like He always make provision for your purpose because that's His will. So looking back, there's nothing that I really had to worry about. And I kind of live by that much right now where I just keep going, and whatever I do, I'm always intentional with it and always try to do it based on purpose because I know that with that, God is going to be involved and it's going to be all right.
I've always known you in the time frame that I've known you to be a very patient. You're very patient and very mild-tempered woman. What circumstances, or what was it when was it in your life that you said, you know what? I know, a lot of the times we talk about our experiences, about, where God has brought us. Talk to us about that moment where you had that epiphany, where you realized that, you know what, in the midst of everything that I'm going through, I need you, God. Talk to us about that moment, because, and I like talking about those moments because it's great when the victories is what give us the encouragement to get through, to see what it's like on the other side. It's almost like what Jesus did when He said, for the joy that was set before Him, He endured the cross. So He already saw what was before Him. So it was enough encouragement to keep Him going. What was it? Because, when we're in that point where we feel like we're about to give up and we've had enough, we're at our last straw. Talk to me about those moments that you felt that you allow God to come in and speak to you in some of those dark places. Talk to me about some of those dark places.
I've had to read.
There might be somebody that's watching.
Yeah, like I've had two really dark periods in my life. First was in 2015. And that's after I finished college. I worked for a year, got some experience. And again, I was applying for a whole bunch of law school. But the money for law school is nothing compared to undergrad. Undergrad is probably like $10,000-$14,000. Law school is like $50,000-$60,000. So now everybody was really looking at me like, girl, you crazy. First of all, you're not a U.S. You apply for federal loans. You don't have family and friends here like that to be a co-sponsor for private loans. So if you don't get a food ride, how are you going to get through this? And then I had another hiccup too, because at that time I had like some immigration challenges that was kind of pushing me back. And I was legal. So I remember one day I was with one of my church brother, like I was just talking to him, and like I broke down. I was telling him the things that I was going through. Like I feel like I did this, I did this, I did this. I'm serving God. I'm out here like really trying, because you know how a lot of people have experience where in college for them it's a time where they turn up, party, they get wild.
Right.
I tell people this all the time because I was going through so much. I was focused on my studies. I was getting good grades and all that. But I knew like I was suffering financially, emotionally, not being around my family and so forth. So for me, it was really a time where I locked myself in and I just spent time with God. So when all that was said and done, and to see like a year after I started working, things got a little bit good, and to know that I was pushed back in the same position, I felt terrible. I felt like giving up. It was like I was going crazy because, like I said, it's like I got to the point where I started being in charge of so many things, but this was something in my life that I had no control of. And I didn't know how it was going to end. I remember that night when I was talking to that brother, it's like I was in downtown Temple and there was a bar, and I walked right into the bar. I got something to drink, and I was just drinking. And I can't drink. And I remember when I got to the apartment, I was in a dress and heels, and I walked right in the pool. I'll never forget that night.
Whoa. You
We
walked
were
right in the pool?
right in the pool.
Wow.
I walked right in the pool. It's like, what you doing? What are you doing? And then I went to sleep that night. And then I think my mom, like, I don't know, this is something about mom that they can sense something is wrong with you. I remember my mom said this to me in the morning. She said, God got you from Jamaica by yourself, no family or friends here. You got through college. You did so many things. You were able to work. I know you're at this point where you're supposed to transition. And because you can't see the way around the corner, you're ready to give up on God and you're ready to give up on yourself. And she said that to me and she walked right out the door. And when she said that, I looked into the situation and I felt so bad because it was true. I was giving up. And I'm telling you, I went on my knees and I prayed like I've never prayed before. And the very next day, like the law school reached out to me, the amount of money they were offering me, everything I had to do was pick up my bag and move to Jackson.
What?
Like
wow.
when my mom came home and I told her, she's like, look at it. That's all like
Wow.
you see around the corner. That doesn't mean that something good is around you. You just gotta have faith. And keep trusting God, because if He's leading you, He's gonna find your purpose. And then another dark period that I had in my life, again, for some reason, I always have these school testimonies. So when I was done with, like, just like for undergrad, I felt like, okay, you did it. No, you should be good. It's the same thing. When I was finished with law school, I graduated top of my class, got all these awards. My family came. My dad came in from England, and I haven't seen him. My family came in from Jamaica, and I was on top of the world. My book came out, so I was feeling good. And then I moved to Georgia, and now it was time to study for the bar. So I was studying for the bar, passed the bar, got my first job again. I'm feeling on top of the world because, hey, I'm good now. And then I got married, so it's like, hey, you moved to Georgia, you passed the bar, you got married. By now, I found out that I was pregnant, you're having a baby. It's like, I think this is like most little girls' dream where, bam, they want to be finished with school, they want to get married, they want to have a baby, and they want to have it going on. So it was good for me. And then when you look, I had another stumbling block in the way. And this was like a period again where it got really dark. And this is for the first time I feel like I dropped in deep depression. I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I don't want to diagnose myself or like speak upon that really. But that's how I felt. And it was just a situation where I feel like this person who I trust and love so much betrayed me that I didn't expect. So it kind of like pushed me into the corner. And then what happened is that all that stuff that was in my subconscious over all these years, it came back afloat. And it pushed me deeper and deeper into depression. And then I get back to the argument where we're raised in a culture where talking about what's going on with you is not something that you normally get advice to do. So for me, like now I'm learning, you have people that you can talk to, but I really like it's me where I didn't trust anybody to go to them, especially females. For some reason, us females. So it's like I didn't trust any females, family members who I could go to and really sit, vent, and tell them what was going on. And it's really because I felt like I would have been judged, and I was just so ashamed. Like I was just so ashamed about the situation and all that. So what I did was I started writing again, and that's how my second book came out. So I wrote it all out. I was over certain things. And now, like when I do shows like this, like I'm not afraid to talk. So that's in the beginning when you ask me, is there anything you don't want to talk about? I'm an open book. I don't care. I feel like my testimony is for people too. So I'll talk. So I would say those are the two like really darkest period in my life. And at this point too, I really had to get deeper in my work. Because yes, I pray a lot and I listen to some worship music. I try to like have my morning walks and have my little time with God and so forth. But now it's like I had to find something in writing to like justify like how is it that I'm a so-called good person, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm saying this, I'm saying that. Why is it that I have to go through this? What did I do? I started like truthfully, I started questioning God, like how did this happen? Is it a curse? Like what's going on? So and see those moments they are when you're going through it, you don't understand it because you're just looking at it like, you know what, this is a hurt, it's a dark moment.
Right.
But when you get through it and you look back, it's really just a test of faith. So while I'm able to talk about it now, I must say like I'm grateful for all those experiences because it has molded and shaped me into the person I'm trying to, and the person I'm becoming every day, and in hopes of the woman that God really wants me to be.
Right. I think it's amazing because I think what people don't understand is that when you talked about, you know, you don't hold back, you know, you're transparent. I think it takes, you know, I think sometimes you get to a point when you go through enough stuff, the least thing you have to worry about is what people think, you know. Sometimes when you get to a point when you want to get out and you want to be free, it's by any means necessary, you know. It's almost like, you know, because I was like that. I was just like, oh, I don't know about this. But then there comes a point when you just get to the point where you just say, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, I don't care about if people know what happened in my life. I don't care. I just love that, you know, I'm grateful. I remember somebody asked me, would you go through if you knew what you had to go through now? And I'm going to ask you that too. If you knew what you went through, if you knew what you had to go through back then, now, would you do it all over again? And my question was, most people would think, oh, no, I wouldn't do it again. And I thought I would. I would do it all over again. And I'll tell you why I'll do it all over again. Because it shaped me into who I am now. So if everything that I went through caused the level of maturity to take place, caused a deeper level of understanding, and if it caused some growth in some areas of my life, it was worth it.
It was, yeah. I say the same thing too. And if it was reversed, you wouldn't have been the same person. So I look at some days where I wasn't able to like afford certain things, and because of that, like I'm not bothered to be like us sitting right here. I know like a lot of young females, they wouldn't be comfortable sitting in front of a screen, no makeup, putting up your hair. I'm good.
Yeah, me too. I hear you.
My own skin, and I'm good. I feel like if it was handed to me in a way where 15, 16, I had the luxury of getting this done, it would become a part of, and I know people change over time or like you learn certain things, but I think it would have been a part of me. And now it's like I couldn't do without certain things. So I'm grateful.
Yeah. I think the older you get, I think with age, not only does experience comes, but appreciation for different things. You know, you learn that you start to figure out what things are really important and what things aren't. And you just kind of just, you know, you just kind of learn how to like, because, you know, I've spent, not just me, but a lot of people, you spend most of your years trying to be and fit, trying to be certain people, certain person, or trying to be like certain people, trying to fit into certain types of groups of cliques and stuff. And then you get older, because I used to always wonder, like, I always felt like I could never really fit into any set group of type of people. I would look at people and I'd be like, man, I want to be and I used to yearn to be a part of different groups of people, yearn for different people to be my friends. And it was a difficult feeling back then, because rejection is very real. That rejection, I can really say, I heard somebody say rejection means redirection. Well, when I go back and look at the rejection that I felt, I can actually see that rejection redirecting me to the right relationships, to the right friendships, to the right connections. So I think I'm excited. I'm even more proud now to be able to talk about it, because I enjoy the me that I am now. I enjoy the things that God has done in my life now as a result of the things that I went through. And I'm not saying that everything that we learn has to be a result of something that we suffer, but for most of us, I told my children, there's some things you're going to learn there's some things you can learn from watching other people, and then there are going to be some things you may have to learn through experience. And I was just one of those. I had to learn a lot of things by experience, but those experiences shaped me into the person that I am now. So now I try as much as possible to not allow my future experiences. I try to allow those to be motivated by watching other people versus having to always go through it. But I like the person that I am now and the person that I'm becoming, because I'm more. Purpose to me is more than just being able to say you do a particular thing. Purpose to me is being comfortable to be able to talk about some of the things that you've gone through, and using that pain that you've gone through to help other people. I think when we start to figure out what our purpose is, you kind of shed away all the other stuff, that's all the shiny stuff that's around you that make you feel like you have to be. You don't matter. It's like you said, like me, I'm in front of the thing. I don't have a makeup either, and I don't care. I'm like, because one is 10 o'clock at night. One is like almost 11 o'clock at night. And two, and I wanted to do this show. At first I battled Georgia. I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to do this at 10 o'clock, because it originally started at 9. And I thought, I don't know if I really want to do this at 9 o'clock. But then I thought, when did I have my most darkest times? It was always I had my, a lot of shows and stuff are in the daytime and on the weekend. And I thought the majority of the times I've had my darkest moments was always late at night.
Yeah.
And so I thought 10 o'clock will be perfect. And those that need to hear it, that benefit from it, will have it fresh and available. And for those that want to see it and not able to stay up to be able to take part, that's okay too. They can watch the replay. But I wanted to make sure that it was that we did it at night, so that everybody's usually calm and relaxed. But there are some people that are home that are in all kinds of circumstances and situations. And I know for me, I used to watch TBN just for the sake of watching the praise thing from 10 at night to 12 o'clock to 10 at night to 12. And I remember I used to watch, hearing people's testimonies about how they got through stuff. And then I started to see myself coming out of different things, because I started to see, well, if God did it for them, heck, they don't seem to be too much differently to me, hope that I'll have a better circumstances situation too. So there's many different directions I wanted to go in doing Sisterhood Check-In, and I really feel like I found the direction that I feel like God wants me to go with this, because people need to hear our stories. They need to hear how we got through it. It's easy for people to look at you and say, oh, you're an attorney. You got everything. You married, you have a son, you got a good job, you ain't going through nothing. But they don't know that there's a story behind your testimony. There's a story behind, there's a journey that you had to take and that you continue to take to stay. Because, it's one thing when we overcome, but guess what? We have to keep overcoming. It
True.
doesn't stop there. We don't,
And the higher you climb, the more you have to deal with. So it's
absolutely.
getting ready for it. Mhm.
We just got a comment from one of our viewers, Sharonda. She said there was an amazing testimony. Thank you, Sharonda, for that comment. And it is an amazing testimony that, this is why I do this, so that we can share, the things that we go through with other women. That sometimes all you need is just a little, we just need to know that there's a little bit of if we can help women understand there's a small possibility, give them a little bit of hope, and in an informal way where they're not looking at us and saying, oh, you got on all makeup and you look like this, or I don't look like that, or I don't look like this. No, we want people to know it doesn't matter what your circumstances is.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what. God can heal and he can bring anybody out. Are there any, before we actually end our broadcast, what encouraging words would you like to say to somebody who may be 28 or in their 20s, or may even be 22, that may be watching? What do you say to somebody who feels like, I'm young and I'm just starting life and I'm not even nowhere near where I want to be? What would you say to somebody like that? Any final thoughts?
One, don't rush the process.
Mm,
Like, just stay focused. And the biggest thing is trying to find your purpose. And there are a ton of ways for you to find your purpose. Like, pray about it, focus on what you're passionate about, and it will come to life. And then whatever you do, follow in that direction. And once you're doing that, like, God will be in the midst, and it will be okay. It's gonna be okay. Don't put a time limit on it. Don't tell yourself like you need to be married by this age, you have to be finished with school by this. It doesn't matter. And don't watch the way that another person's life is going. Because the truth is, some people, they'll show off. You see them on social media, you see them in the street, they look a certain way, they're acting a certain way, when it's not all that it's dressed up to be. There's so much under the surface. And sometimes you don't know the things that people are involved in to have the things that they have to be where they're at. So just take your time, follow your purpose, and just keep going. Keep God at the center of it all, and it will be okay.
absolutely. We have another person that says beautiful testimony. I don't thank you. And that's true. I think it's important to know that, sometimes, I mean, we look at, especially women, we look at the fact
Hmm.
that, oh, I'm this age or I'm that age. And it doesn't matter how old you are, because really, when you start to walk in your purpose, you don't really think about, you only think about where, timing and all that other stuff when you're not there yet.
Yeah.
But once you start walking in a direction that you feel like God is leading you to go in, there's a sense of peace and calmness that comes, and your focus begin to shift on from timing to effectiveness. I just want to be effective, you know.
Yes.
So you don't spend a lot of time trying to worry about, well, I only got this amount of time, only got that time. You just want to, sometimes when you go through so much stuff, I always say sometimes the most likely people, the people that are most likely to help you are the people that have been through something. You
Yeah.
know, most of the help that I got was from people who have experienced the same thing that I went through, who genuinely understood and had the compassion and the passion to help me out. Sometimes when we at a place where we have everything we want, sometimes we forget. And I went through my little period of time that I've gone through and went through some stuff. And you get to a point where sometimes there's a peace that comes, there's a settling, that comes, and you feel like, okay, I got a sense of peace. But then once you get to that place, then God always pulls at you and be like, okay, now, don't forget, we're not gonna be like the children of Israel that forgot, you
Hmm.
know, we've eaten and we full and we have forgotten. I have come to the place recently where I was like, you know what? I'm grateful for the people that God has put around me to encourage me, and remind me, you know, that complacent, because anything you don't use, you become unuseful. And I don't want to
Yeah.
get to the place to where I'm no longer useful,
Got
to God,
comfortable.
because I'm not operating, get comfortable and not operating in a place where it doesn't mean that I'm not going to continue to still involve, but I do believe that when you start to realize that, and be reminded that, you were in this place before. You remember what it feels like. I remember, I'm like Paul, I know how it feels to abound, and I know how it feels to abase. I know what it's like to not have anything, and I know what it's like to have, a lot of the things that I want. But the most important thing that I've learned how to be content. And I think that is the thing that people struggle with nowadays, is being content. That's why we attach ourselves to so many different name brand clothes, because we're searching for identity. And some people say, oh no, I might just like the quality. Maybe that might be a part of it. But I think a lot of the, most of the time, we are killing people over sneakers and outfits, and we comparing ourselves because we have lost a sense of our identity.
Focus on
Which
the
is why
wrong.
I started, my own, on the wrong stuff. And when you go to, if for all of you that are watching out there, if you go to my website, I have so many different courses where I talk and help you walk through some of the things that, some of the different struggles that we deal with. I talked earlier about the emotional trauma. A lot of a lot of times we don't understand how trauma stores in our body. And we don't understand that it affects us. It affects us mentally. It affects us physically. And so I have put together some things to kind of help, you kind of get through some of the emotional trauma. But go visit my website. There's all kinds. You can register for the seminar I'm going to do. It's called Healing from Emotional Trauma. You can go to the website there at the bottom of the screen, bit.ly/emotional trauma. The course is amazing. It talks about I pretty much talk about the physical and the mental, the spiritual aspects of what we deal with when we go through trauma. So make sure you go down at the website and visit bit.ly/emotional trauma and register so that you can get the help that you need. We're in a better place nowadays where we don't have to suffer in silence anymore. We don't have to suffer alone. There's a lot of things that we can do now to, we can ask for help. Back then we didn't want to ask for help because we didn't want people to know our business. Well, now today you can help. You can get the help without telling everybody your business. Nowadays. Again, don't forget, Georgia Lawrence's books, Purpose Through Pain. You can get it on our website. You can go to woman of Proverbs coaching.com, or you can go to the bit.ly/Georgia Lawrence books. And for those that have issues with immigration and you need help, you can always visit Georgia on her website at georgialawrence.com. You can also, Georgia, you want to give them your Facebook information or your social media information again for those that just came in that didn't hear it?
Sure. So on Facebook is Georgia Lawrence, my name. On Instagram, you should be able to find me using Georgia Lawrence, or you use royalty_with a purpose. And if anything, if you don't have social media, you can always send me an email at georgialaw21@gmail.com.
Okay, and you got it. It's right on the screen. You can go to, is that across all the social media at Georgia Lawrence?
Yes.
Okay. So if for those of you that you can search for her on social media at her handle is at Georgia Lawrence, or you can visit her website at georgialawrence.com. Georgia, it was so good to have you. I just really enjoyed your testimony. I feel like I've gotten to know you a lot better, in this hour. It's amazing. It's almost like sitting on a comfy couch and being able to talk. I'm really starting to like this.
You're doing a
I
good
appreciate
thing.
you taking the time out.
No
Thank
problem.
you,
Thank
sis.
you
Thank
for having
you.
me here. You're really doing
Yeah.
a good just the sisterhood check-in is needed. We don't talk and just sit in having conversation, and I'll ensure that I spread the word because I have girlfriends who, hey, on a Friday night you wanna say chat, we're here, let's check in. So congratulations to you.
Yeah, and I want to get more than one. Eventually, I'll have more than one guest. We'll get to have like 2 or 3 people on at the same time, and we can all talk at the same time.
Yeah, that would be
So, but
good.
I appreciate it. It's a little bit of delay. So if you hear me over time, sometimes there's a little bit delay and I don't hear you till like a few seconds later.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you so much for sitting here and taking time out of your day to talk with us. I enjoyed you, and I'd love to have you on again because I know you got a lot of other books. We can set up a schedule to talk about all your other books and stuff like that. I would love to be able to do that. But yes, thank you for spreading the word, and thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you and take care.
No problem. Stay tuned while I just go ahead and end up the show. All right, guys, you heard it again from Georgia Lawrence. She was amazing. You guys make sure you support her. Go to her website, georgialawrence.com. Again, for those of you that haven't purchased also my book, What Happened to Me? How Did I Get Here? You can go to the bit.ly/signed by Nadira. Also, and all of this stuff is on my website. You can just go to Women of Proverbs Coaching and you'll find everything that we talked about today. All the books and material is right there on the website. So if you didn't get a chance to copy down all the different addresses, that's fine. Just go to Women of Proverbs Coaching. Everything is there. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your Friday and joining me in Sisterhood Checkin. So until next time, thank you so much. Have a great night.